හරිම සුමුදුයි.
Tonight on First at 9, this Thursday, the 22nd of February 2024. Unpaid dues. Committee on Public Finance reveals an uncollected income tax running into billions of rupees from reduction in sugar levy. Educational reforms. President plans to restructure the country's vocational education to equip youth to meet the demands of the global job market. More room. Sri Lanka needs more room accommodation as the island expects 4 million tourists in 2024. Hot days. Met Department forecasts the prevailing hot weather to continue and issues strong health advisories.
ඔබේ විශ්වාසය දිනු සෙන්සුරයින් දැන් ළඟමැති ෆාමසියෙන් ලබාගත හැක.
This is Ava Derana First at 9 with Indivari Amuata and Mahesh Johnny. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
And a very warm welcome. You're joining us on First at 9 on Ava Derana 24. I'm Indivari Amuata.
Good evening, Indivari. I'm Mahesh Johnny. As always, I keep forgetting my name. But as always, we are almost at the tail end of the week. Tomorrow is a holiday, so most of the people would have gone out of Colombo in order to have a lengthy weekend. And also, there is always the news stories keeps coming in. There is a lot to report to you tonight. We have a lot of information coming out from the Parliament. And also, if you're an avid traveler to Bangkok, well, direct flights have begun by Thai Airways from Colombo to Bangkok.
And interesting times ahead for Sri Lanka tourism as well, as we're looking at more Indian travelers to the country, and there are lots of offers for the Ramayana Trail as Sri Lanka looks at promoting this Ramayana Trail, the historic Ceylonese stories, ancient Lankan stories, and also we have plans to consolidate all vocational training institutes into one college. That was a headline story. Plus, Switzerland has banned Hamas as a terrorist organization. These are developments of the ongoing Israeli-Hamas war, and there is still a catastrophic situation there in Gaza as the humanitarian situation escalates there.
It is also a little bit of rare because a lot of countries were accusing Israel, but this time around we see Switzerland actually banning Hamas and taking stern action on that. But let's begin our bulletin tonight and take you directly to our nation's parliament. Now, the Finance Ministry and the Inland Revenue Department have failed to collect 30% of 16 billion rupees as income tax from the reduction of special commodity levy imposed on sugar.
Now, commenting on the ill-gotten gains accumulated by these entities, the chairman of the Committee on Public Finance made this startling observation during a committee meeting. In October of 2020, the Finance Ministry, under the administration of former President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, reduced the special commodity levy imposed on a kilogram of sugar from 50 rupees to 25 cents.
Now, however, as a counter-argument to the COPE chairman, the Deputy Secretary to the Treasury said that the government had not, in fact, incurred a loss from this move and instead termed this revenue reduction a foregone revenue.
සීනි බදු වංචාව සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඔබතුමාලගේ අමාත්‍යාංශයෙන් කියලා තියෙනවා එහෙම කිසිම විදියක ආණ්ඩුවට පාඩුවක් වෙලා නැහැ කියලා. 50 තිබුණ එක 725 දක්වා අඩු වුණා කියන්නේ එතන අලාභයක් වුණ එකක් නෙමෙයි. ඒ කියන්නේ රජයට ලැබුණ එක රජය විසින් ඒක ෆෝගෝන් කරනවා. විගණකාධිපතිතුමා කිව්වේ ලේකම්තුමා මේකේ රජය විසින් යම්කිසි ෆෝගෝන් ටැක්ස් එකක් පාරිභෝගිකයාට සහනය යයි කියලා. එතකොට විගණකාධිපතිවරයාගේ වාර්තාවේ ඉතාමත්ම පැහැදිලිව තියෙනවා පාරිභෝගිකයාට සහනය ගියේ නැහැ කියලා. එතකොට මේ වාර්තාවේ කියනවා අයුතු ලෙස ලාභයක් මේ ආයතන ලබා ගත්තා කියලා. කියලා. ඉතින් ඊට පස්සේ කිව්වා අඩුම වශයෙන් ඒ ලාභයේ 130ක බද්ද හරි ගන්න ඕනේ කියලා. ඒකවත් අරගෙන නැහැ කියන එක තමයි අපිට දැනුම් දීලා තියෙන්නේ. අයුතු ලාභයක් ලබා ගත්තද කියන එකනේ මෙතන තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඒතර CID ඉන්වෙස්ටිගේෂන් එකත් ආගිය අතක් නැහැ. බ්‍රයිබර් කමිෂන් එකට දාලා තියෙනවා එතනින් මොකක් වෙන්නෙත් නැහැ. අපි දන්නවනේ කොච්චර ගබඩාවේ කට්ටියක තිබ්බද කොච්චර වික්කද කොච්චර ඒගොල්ලෝ ලාභයක් මේකෙන් ලබා ගත්තද. ඉතින් අඩු වශයෙන් විගණනාධිපතිතුමාගේ වාර්තාවට අනුව තියෙන ඒ ප්‍රමාණයට අදාළ ආදායම් බදු ලබා ගන්න එපැයි ඔය කට්ටිය.
එතන කියන්නේ ඔය 16 බිලියන් ලොස් කියන. නමුත් එහෙම එකක් නෙමෙයි තියෙන්නේ. 16 බිලියන් කියන්නේ රෙවුනියු ෆෝගෝන් එකක්.
මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මෙතුමලම මේ කමිටුවට ඉදිරිපත් කරා මේක ආයකර ගැනීම සඳහා යම්කිසි ක්‍රියාමාර්ගයක් ගන්නවා කියන එක ඔබතුමාලා කිව්වා.
දැන් වෙලා තියෙන්නේ 50ට ගෙවපු එකක් 25ට ක්‍රිය කරපු එකේ යම්කිසි අයතු ලාභයක් වුණාද කියන එකනේ. දැන් ඒකට අදාළව ඉන්ලන්ඩ් රෙවුනියු එකට විමර්ශනය කරන්න කියලා පොතේ දීලා තියෙනවා. ඒ අනුව දැන් ඉන්ලන්ඩ් රෙවුනියු එක කෝපායකට රිපෝට් එකක් දාලා තියෙනවා. ආයතන 12ක ඒගොල්ලෝ විගණනය කළා. එයින් 6ක විගණනය අවසන් ඒ අනුව 318ක් අය කරගත යුතුයි කියලා මිලියන. ඉතුරු කම්පැනි 6 විගණනය කරමින් පවතිනවා කියලා දීලා තියෙනවා.
දැන් ඒ 318 අය කරගත්තාද?
ඇග්‍රි වෙලා තියෙන 318ට අය කරගෙනද කියන එක ඒක මම පොඩ්ඩක් බලලා ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා.
අපිට ඔබතුමා එකතු කරගෙන නැතිනම් ඇයි එකතු කරගත්තේ නැත්තේ කියලා අපි ඔබතුමා කාර්යාලයට ගියාම වහම දැනුවත් කරන්න. ඉතින් ඒක ලැබුණේ වැඩිපුර ලාභයක් ලැබිලා මේ ට්‍රාන්සැක්ෂන් එක නිසා. ඒගොල්ලෝ මහන්සි වෙච්ච නිසා නෙවෙයිනේ වැඩිපුර. ඒක ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ 170ක් ඒගොල්ලන්ට තියාගන්න බැහැනේ.
දේශීය ආදායම් පනත හරි විදේශීය ආදායම් දෙපාර්තමේන්තු තියෙන අනිත් මේ බදු නීති වලින් ඒ වගේ දෙයක් අවිතු ලාභය සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම බදු කරන්න කියලා ක්‍රමයක් නැහැ.
ඒතර විකරණ කාර්යාංශයේ ගිය සතියේ ඉස්සෙල්ලා සතිය ආවා. ඒගොල්ලෝ කියනවා ඒගොල්ලන්ට ප්‍රතිපාදන නැහැ කියලා නඩු දාන්න. නමුත් සොලිසිටර් ජෙනරල් කිව්වා දැනට මේ පනතේ අහවල් වගන්ති යටතේ පැහැදිලි ප්‍රතිපාදන තියෙනවා නීති ක්‍රියාමාරන්න කියලා.
තවදුරටත් මෙච්චර කොච්චර ආගියු කරත් ඉතින් ඔච්චර තමයි මේකේ අවසාන ප්‍රතිඵලය. හැබැයි මිනිස්සුන්ට අමාරු ඒකයි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් තියෙන තත්ත්වය.
The Ceylon Electricity Board submitted a proposal, new electricity tariff proposal to the Public Utilities Commission consisting of new data which is set to provide more relief to the consumers from the upcoming tariff revision. According to the Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Vijayasekara, the CEB expects to reduce the rate to at least the same rates and percentages it was increased to in October 2023. In October, the tariffs were increased in the domestic and religious sectors by 18%, industries and hotel sectors by 12%, and general purpose and government building sectors by 24%.
Following a meeting between Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Vijayasekara and the officials of the Ceylon Electricity Board, a decision was made to submit a new tariff proposal to the Public Utilities Commission which can provide relief to the consumers compared to the one which was submitted last month. Speaking at Parliament yesterday, the minister said the CEB expects to reduce to at least same rates and percentages it was originally increased to in October of 2023.
පහුගිය අවුරුදු පහේ නොලැබිච්ච වර්ෂාපතනයක් අපිට ලැබෙනවා ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ නොවැම්බර් මාසේ දෙසැම්බර් මාසේ ජනවාරි. යම් සහනයක් ලැබෙනවා විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයට විදුලිය ජනනය කිරීම සඳහා. ලාභිකුත් ලැබෙනවා විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයට. ඒ නිසාම තමයි අපි දෙසැම්බර් මාසේ යෝජනා කරන්නේ ඒ සහනය ජනතාවට ලබා දීම සඳහා නැවත වතාවක් අපි පෙබරවාරි මාසේ ගාස්තු සංශෝධනයක් කිරීමට අපිට අවසර දෙන්න කියලා. ඒ අනුව අපි පහුගිය සතියේ අපි මහජන උපදෙස් කොමිසමට දැනුවත් කරා. මම සොන්ද කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයට දැනුවත් කරා. අපි කලින් දීපු යෝජනාවට වැඩිය අපිට තව අඩු කරන්න පුළුවන් තැන් කීපයක් දැන් අපිට තියෙනවා. ඒතර විදුලි බල මණ්ඩලයේ නිලධාරීන් හදපු සංඛ්‍යා ලේඛන ඇතුලේ ඔවුන් අපිට දැන් දැනුවත් කරා හෙට ඒ යෝජනාව ලබා දෙනවා මහජන උපදෙස් කොමිසමට අවම වශයෙන් හෙට ලබා දෙන සංශෝධන ඇතුලේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ වැඩි කරපු මිල අපි සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම අයින් කරන්න අපි කටයුතු කරනවා කියන එක. ඒ කියන්නේ ගෘහස්ත කාණ්ඩෙත් අපේ ආගමික සිද්ධාස්ථානවල ඔක්තෝබර් මාසේ වැඩි කරපු 18%ම අපි අයින් කරන්න. අවම වශයෙන් කර්මාන්ත ශාලා සහ හෝටල් වලට වැඩි කරපු 12% අවම වශයෙන් අඩු කරන්න. ඒ වගේම පොදු කාර්යයන් සහ රජයේ ගොඩනැගිලි වලට තියෙන අවම වශයෙන් 24% අඩු කරන්න. ඊටත් වැඩිය පුළුවන් නම් ඒ යෝජනාව හෙට හදලා දෙන්න තමයි අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ.
Meanwhile, the CEB today confirmed that the relevant proposal which can further reduce the tariffs was submitted to the Public Utilities Commission.
Well, CEB engineer Noel Priyamtha tendered his resignation as the spokesperson of the Ceylon Electricity Board. Now, Priyamtha got entangled in controversy when he made a statement while speaking at the Big Focus program on Other Derana 24, which drew widespread criticism from the general public. The controversial statement was deemed insensitive and heartless when he proceeded to comment on children studying under kerosene-powered lamps. In a subsequent X message, Minister of Power and Energy Kanchana Wijesekara stressed that the statement of the CEB spokesperson does not reflect the views of the government or the CEB. He also confirmed that Noel Priyantha had tendered his resignation as the spokesperson and that the CEB management would take appropriate steps over the statement. While questioning the government over the statement made by the CEB spokesperson in Parliament today, opposition leader Sajith Premadasa called on the government to conduct a disciplinary inquiry against him.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe stressed on the plans to restructure the vocational education in Sri Lanka by consolidating all vocational training institutes in the country into a single college.
Now, during an observational tour of the Lalith Athulat Mudali Vocational Training Centre in Rathmalana, the President highlighted the importance of equipping the youth of Sri Lanka to excel in a competitive global job market.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe engaged in an observation tour of the Lalith Athulat Mudali Vocational Training Centre in Rathmalana this morning. During his visit, President Wickremesinghe toured the classrooms and engaged with students to inquire about their education and well-being. He also participated in a brief discussion with the students while addressing their queries.
අපි සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම වෘත්ති අධ්‍යාපනය ප්‍රතිසංවිධානය කළා වෘත්තීය මධ්‍යස්ථාන සියල්ලම එක අධිකාරියක් ඇතුළත දානවා මේකයි යෝන් සේනාංගයයි අනිත් අධිකාරි දෙකේ යටතේ එකකට දාලා ඒ වෘත්තීය මධ්‍යස්ථානයේ දෙක තුන වෘත්තීය විද්‍යාලයකට ඇතුළත් කරනවා වෘත්තීය විද්‍යාලයක් ඇති කරාම අනිත් විද්‍යාල වාගේ අධ්‍යාපන පාඨමාලා අනිත් ඒවා ක්‍රීඩා හැම අංශෙම තියෙනවා ඒවා පළාත් සභාවලින් තමයි පාලනය කරන්නේ ये वृत्तीय पूर्ण मध्यस्थान में पिटकराम අපිට තියෙන්නේ මේ අනුත් වැඩසටහන දැන් සභාපතිතුමා එකක් ඉදිරිපත් කළා අලුත් යුගයට සකස් වෙන හැටියට ඒ වගේම දැන් තියෙන සමාජ මාධ්‍ය නිසා සියලු දෙනාම එක තැනකට රැස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ ඒ සමාජ මාධ්‍ය මාධ්‍යම නෙට්වර්කින් කියන සංවිධානය ඇති කරන්න වෙයි ඒ වගේම මම බැලුවේ දැන් ගොඩනැගිලි ගණනාවක් තියෙනවා ආණ්ඩුවටයි ඒවා හිස්සේවා අනේ ගොඩනැගිලි කීපයක් හඳුනාගෙන තරුණ සේවා සභාවේ විශේෂයෙන්ම තරුණ මධ්‍යස්ථාන ඇති කරනවා but අපි මේක යෝන් සමාජ වලට සීමා කරනවාද නැත්නම් ඒ ප්‍රදේශයේ තියෙන යෝන් සංවිධාන සියල්ලම එකතු කරනවාද කියලා තීරණය කරන්න තියෙනවා. අන්තිමට මොකද ඕනේ කියන්නේ මේ දශකයේ කියන්නේ මොකද දශකයෙන් දශකයට වෙනස් කරන්න ඕනේ. නැත්නම් හරියන්නේ නැහැ.
Vietnam Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development Min Loan Lee confirmed the possibility of sharing the expertise of Vietnam in digital agriculture and smart agriculture as the Sri Lankan government pivots to subject the agriculture sector to rapid development in the future. The Vietnamese envoy mentioned this during a meeting held with the Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena in Colombo yesterday. During the meeting, discussions also centered on enhancing close bilateral ties and the possibility of enhancing cooperation in many spheres, especially on rural development and social empowerment. During the meeting, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena praised the innovative methods adopted by Vietnam to successfully attract foreign investments and requested that they share their expertise with Sri Lanka for the modernization of agriculture.
Well, Sri Lanka's Marine Environmental Protection Authority has successfully nabbed a vessel responsible for an unauthorized release of oil in Sri Lankan waters after identifying it through a new satellite surveillance system that is being tested with the support from France.
After taking legal action, the authority has slapped a fine of around $50,000 on the vessel in question. According to a statement released by the authority, it was the first successful close of a case, although they have already had more than 100 detection reports from the system.
The Global Crest, a 12,900 deadweight crude oil tanker registered in Panama, was anchored in Sri Lankan waters on the 3rd of February. The vessel was repositioning for anchorage near Colombo when on February 4th, the initiative funded by the French government detected a large oil slick. The Marine Environment Protection Authority, or MIPA, reports that the stain was confirmed in satellite images to be nearly 7 miles in length and spread over 1 square kilometre. On further examination, it was detected that the oil leak was coming from the Global Crest, which is listed as part of the fleet of India's global tankers and managed by a company in the UAE. The vessel anchored about 11 nautical miles from Colombo late on February 5th, and the following day, MIPA obtained an order to inspect the vessel. Following the inspection, MIPA reported that clear evidence of the illegal oil discharge was visible. After detaining the ship, the authority proceeded to serve a $50,000 fine on the ship, and on the 9th of February, the vessel's owner agreed to pay the fine. MIPA then moved to release the ship, which departed for the UAE the following day. Since September of 2023, MIPA reports that it has received more than 100 detection reports for investigation around the country.
Well, there are advisories against dehydration, so the Department of Meteorology stated that the prevailing sweltering temperatures is likely to continue for more than a month.
And taking into account the forecast increase of temperature over several parts of the island tomorrow, the Met Department requested the general public to remain vigilant and proceed to issue a health advisory.
Concurrently, health officials also raised concerns of dehydration among vulnerable classes, including outdoor workers and children.
Parts of Sri Lanka are currently facing sweltering weather conditions amidst soaring temperatures. As such, residents of areas including Colombo, Anuradhapura, Polonnaruwa, Kurunegala and Gampaha experienced high temperature felt on the human body. The Met Department confirmed that the scorching hot weather is likely to continue for over a month.
මේ දිනවල පවතින දැඩි උෂ්ණත්වය නිසා ජනතාව ඇත්තටම අපහසුතාවයක් විඳිනවා. විශේෂයෙන් ගත්තොත් ගම්පහ දිස්ත්‍රික්කයේ වගේම හම්බන්තොට සහ මොනරාගල දිස්ත්‍රික් වලත් වයඹ පළාතෙත් ඇතැම් ස්ථානවල මිනිස් සිරුරට දැනෙන උෂ්ණත්වය එම දර්ශකය අවධානය යොමු කළ මට්ටමක තමයි තියෙන්නේ. නමුත් මේක අඩු වැඩි වශයෙන් ඉදිරි මාසයක් වගේ අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. තාමත් අපි රතු නිවේදනම නිකුත් කරන තත්ත්වයට අවිල්ලා නැහැ. කොහොමත් අපේ අප්‍රේල් මැයි මාසය අවුරුද්දේ උෂ්ණත්වය වැඩි මාස දෙකක්. එතකොට ඒකත් එක්ක අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන අප්‍රේල් මාසයේ වැසි ලැබෙවි කියලා ඒත් එක්ක මේ තත්ත්වය අඩු වෙවි.
Taking the hot weather pattern into consideration, the National Hazards Early Warning Center of the Department of Meteorology issued a heat index advisory. It added that the heat index, the temperature felt on the human body, is expected to increase to caution level in areas in the northwestern province as well as Gampaha, Colombo, Hambantota and Monragala districts tomorrow. Meanwhile, health officials advised the general public to take necessary precautions to prevent any adverse effects of the prevailing hot weather.
මේ දවස්වල අපි දකිනවා සමහර ප්‍රදේශවල ශරීර උෂ්ණත්වයට වඩාත් උෂ්ණත්වයක් පරිසරයේ තියෙනවා. නිසා අපි වැඩිපුර ජලය සහ දියර ආහාර පානය කරන්න. ඊටත් අමතරව ඉතින් අපේ එළියේ පාරවල් වල වැඩ කරන සහෝදරයින්ට ඊට අමතරව කුඹුරු වල වැඩ කරන ගොවියන්ට උනත් වැඩිපුර වතුර ටිකක් බොන්න කියලා අවවාද කරන්න. අර යනවා නම් තොප්පියක් වගේ ආවරණයක් ලබා දෙනවා නම් වැඩි හොඳයි. ඊට අමතරව සරල ඇඳුමක් අපිට අඳින්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕන. ඉතාම වැදගත් දෙයක් තියෙනවා. එළියේ රස්නේ වැඩි. ඉතින් අපි මෝටර රථයක් හරි වාහනයක් ඇතුලේ ඉන්නවා නම් මේ රස්නේ වෙලාවේදී කවුරු හරි දැන් අම්මා කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන් දරුවව කාර් එක ඇතුළට දාලා සුපර් මාකට් එකට හරි කඩේකට හරි යන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම තත්ත්වයකදී දරුවගේ පරිසරයේ උෂ්ණත්වය ගොඩක් වැඩි වෙලා ඒ දරුවන්ව සීනැතිවීම පවා වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මරණ පවා ඇති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා කරුණාවෙන් කියන්නේ මේ දවස්වල මෝටර් රථයක් වගේ ඇතුළක දරුවෙක් තියලා එළියට යන්න එපා.
Well, more local news. Japanese ambassador to Sri Lanka, Mizukoshi Hideki, pledged his country to the structural reforms Sri Lanka have embarked on, such as restructuring state-owned enterprises.
Japanese ambassador Mizukoshi Hideki made these comments while addressing an event that celebrated the Japanese National Day.
Now, in response, Minister of Justice Dr. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa, who also addressed the event, said that steps are underway to promote Sri Lanka as an attractive destination for Japanese investors.
An event to celebrate the Japanese National Day was held yesterday in Colombo.
The year 2024 will be a touchstone for Sri Lanka's sustainable development. After regaining certain stability in the economy, Sri Lanka is now tackling the long-standing structural issues, which appears to have been the root causes of the economic crisis. There are issues like fight against corruption, the reform of state-owned enterprises, improvement of tax system, and digitalization of the economy. Japan is committed to supporting such reform efforts by the Sri Sri Lankan government. I hope these reforms will lead to a better business environment for Japanese investors, hence an expansion of Japan-Sri Lanka economic relationship. We will particularly work hard on assisting Sri Lanka create favorable conditions for all the suspended Japanese loan projects, such as the Bandaranaike International Airport Development Project and the digitalization of terrestrial TV broadcasting project to resume as early as possible.
As Sri Lanka slowly recovers, measures are being set in place to ensure stability and policy consistency for FDI under the current government, and we invite our friends in Japan to favorably consider Sri Lanka as an attractive investment destination. People-to-people contact is a strong core in our relationship.
Well, an individual wielding a stock of 650 water gel sticks, a type of commercial explosive, was apprehended by the Sri Lankan Navy yesterday. The 43-year-old suspect was arrested during the search of a bus used for public transportation in the Pallimune area. It is suspected that the explosives had been obtained with the intention of using them for illegal fishing activities. With that, let's take a look at other local news in brief.
4 individuals who are reportedly owners of 4 shops on the Second Cross Street in Petta were apprehended in line with the illegal sale of cosmetic products harmful to the body. Subsequently, the arrests were made by the Panudurabalana Anti-Corruption Unit. Following inspection, 1,143 harmful cosmetic products were taken into police custody. The Ingiriya police was able to apprehend an individual based on information received on death threats made by the said individual. The police, following inspection of the suspect's residence, were able to seize a locally manufactured firearm. The arrestee is a 28-year-old resident of Kurana, Ingiriya. In the meantime, an individual engaged in drug trafficking with a female inmate of the Valikada prison was taken into police custody. The suspect in question had 18 grams and 762 milligrams of heroin worth a street value of nearly 600,000 rupees in possession at the time of the arrest. In Badalgama, meanwhile, an individual along with 30 live T-56 bullets and 16 bullets in magazines and pistols were taken into police custody. The arrest was made yesterday.
Welcome back. We take you to business news. State Minister Derana English assesses that Sri Lanka does not have sufficient accommodation in the hotel sector to cater to the growing numbers of tourist arrivals targeted for this year.
And joining a media briefing today, the State Minister said that Sri Lanka should take the initiative to invite more investors to set up more hotel chains across the island.
She also added that the ministry is looking at launching more hotels in the northern and eastern parts of the country where accommodation for tourists is estimated to be inadequate.
The target set for this year is 4 million tourists, with the revenue being $4 billion. Has Sri Lanka done enough in the last year to accommodate this many tourists?
The target can be sky is the limit. I would like to have more than 4 million. But very unfortunately, Sri Lanka hasn't got enough accommodation to accommodate all these tourists. So what we want to do is we want to invite investors to come in, like big hotel chains, come in and start opening up their hotels, because the accommodation is very, very important. Today we only have about 40,000 rooms. And it is very difficult. If you look out and try to book a room anywhere, today you cannot get a room because it's fully booked till April this season. So that's very unfortunate. That is why we are trying to promote more homestay and also Airbnb and these type of accommodation, because we are not having enough of space. So this is something that we should, and we are planning on looking to build up more hotels in Sri Lanka, especially the northeast area. If you take it, it's very less hotels. I think there's only about 2 hotels. One is not even operating properly at the moment. So we need to do that because there is no accommodation for all these tourists. But we have been able to reach near our target last year, which was like we were planning on having about I think 1.5 million last year, and we came close to that. We've only less about 20,000.
Well, India's Calicut International Airport may soon have direct air links to Colombo if the assurance made at the meetings of people's representatives and the airport airlines officials held in India's Kaipur city earlier this week are implemented. The Hindu newspaper reported that during the meeting, Sri Lanka's Fitzair Airlines has come forward to offer flights between Colombo and Kaipur. The report added that Malaysia's budget airline Air Asia also showed interest to operate services from Kaipur to Kuala Lumpur and Bangkok. Both airlines expect to tap the potentials of Kaipur as many other foreign airlines remain wary of Calicut International Airport future in the wake of the inordinate delays in the resumption of services of wide-body flights from Kaipur. Air Asia and Fitzair have expressed willingness to begin services from Kaipur with the hope of ensuring connections to countries such as Vietnam, Singapore, Australia, China, Philippines and Japan.
Meanwhile, Thailand's national carrier Thai Airways has announced the resumption of direct flight operations to Colombo starting April this year. Thai Airways re-enters the market after 3 years of absence due to the COVID-19 pandemic and a brief 20-day operation directly in the midst of Sri Lanka's economic crisis during May of 2020. Flights are scheduled to commence from the 1st of April this year, and the carrier will operate daily flights with an early morning departure out from Colombo, arriving in Bangkok during the morning hours. Thailand is widely known as a leisure destination for Sri Lankans and a convenient transit hub connecting Asia, Australia, Korea and Japan. It further serves as a connecting point to Europe and the Scandinavian region.
Let's take you to the Colombo Stock Exchange. Now, the stock exchange closed higher today to end this week of trading, aided by gains in industrial stocks. The benchmark all share price index rose by 0.06% at the end of session and settled at 10,655.35 points. Now, Expo Lanka Holdings PLC and LOLC Finance PLC were the top gainers on the all-share index, rising 6.09% and 2.50% respectively. The S&P SL20 meanwhile closed at 0.18%, down at 3,064.94 points. Equity market turnover rose to 1.47 billion rupees from 880.9 million rupees in the previous session. The capital goods sector was the top contributor to turnover, while the transportation sector came the second highest contributor. Foreign investors were net buyers, purchasing stock worth 467.9 million rupees, while domestic investors were net sellers, offloading shares worth 1.21 billion rupees. During the week, the SPI and the S&P SL20 gained 0.7% and 0.5% respectively, while recording an average daily turnover of 971 million rupees.
Oil prices rose for a second day today on the back of a weaker dollar and another attack on shipping near Yemen. Brent crude futures rose by 35 cents or 0.4% to settle at $83.38 a barrel, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures climbed by 37 cents or 0.5% to $78.28 a barrel. The dollar index slipped by 0.3% to 103.66, supporting the rise of oil prices for a second consecutive day. Further price gains, however, were tempered by a rise in U.S. crude inventories as the American Petroleum Institute's figures report a 7.17 million barrel increase in U.S. crude stock as at the 16th of February.
Here's the currency exchange rate for the day. Well, profits at Ceylon Bank and the DFCC banks of Sri Lanka showed an increase last year despite the economic challenges within the country.
Well, Haley's Plantations, meanwhile, a subsidiary of the Haley's Group, clinched 3 awards at the 2023 TAGS Awards, Sri Lanka's prestigious annual reports awards ceremony, evaluating the financial and non-financial performance of the entities it adjudicates. With that, here's a look at corporate news in brief.
Profits at Ceylon Bank PLC Group grew 33% to 6.3 billion rupees year-on-year in 2023. Interim accounts show that the group reported earnings of 10.7 rupees per share during the year. The net interest income of the bank was reported as 40.1 billion in 2023, showing a 1% drawback due to volatility in interest rates during the year. The bank's net interest margin on average total assets stood at 5.76% in 2023 compared to 6.33% in 2022. Profits at DFCC Bank PLC Group grew a rapid 187% to 7.2 billion rupees year-on-year in 2023. Interim accounts show that the group reported earnings of 17.3 rupees per share during the year. The group recorded a profit before tax of 12.5 billion rupees and profit after tax of 8.6 billion rupees in 2023 as compared to 3.1 billion in 2022. Haley's Plantations, a member of diversified conglomerate the Haley's Group, wins multiple awards at the 2023 TAGS Awards. Accordingly, Haley's Kelani Valley Plantations PLC and Talavakale Tea Estates PLC shared the Gold Award for Outstanding Excellence in Corporate Reporting under the Plantations category. The Horana Plantations PLC won the Silver Award in the same category.
Well, with that, we end tonight's First at 9. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Mahesh Johnny.
And I'm Indivri Amwatha. Be sure to join us tomorrow at the same time on First at 9. We'll be here to join you. Good night.
For news and information you can trust 24 hours a day, visit adaderana.lk.